As previously mentioned, it's always a good idea to reuse your own code whenever possible. In order to allow the admin user to create new categories, we'll use a lot of the code from adding a new task. Let's start by cloning the add_task template and calling the new template add_category, both within the templates directory still. Open the new file, and we'll update the H3 header to read add category. The same goes for the action on the form, but we'll call the add_category function in Python. We don't need a dropdown for selecting a category, since this form will be for creating a new one. Before we delete this section, let's copy the icon and paste it below for the input, since that's what will be used for adding a new category. Now we can safely delete the entire row for the category selection. Below the first input field, we can also remove the other fields, the task description, the due date picker, and the is_urgent switch. Make sure not to delete the submit button. That's great. Now we only have the single input field and the submit button. We need to adjust the ID from task name to category name. Copy that and be sure to paste it in the name attribute and label 4. Sometimes we might want a really short category name, so let's change the minimum length to 3. We don't need long category names, so the max length will be 25. The actual label displayed to the user needs updated to category name, as well as the HTML comment above. Finally, our submit button needs to read add category. Save the changes, and let's go to the app.py file to create the corresponding function. The app.root decorator will be /add_category, and we're going to build the logic for both the get and post methods. The view or function name will match add_category. As a reminder, we should always start with the get method to make sure our templates are loading correctly. We can simply return the rendered template that we just created, add_category.html. Save those changes, and then go to the categories template that we created in the last video. Underneath the H3 header, we're going to add a button for the admin user to click and create a new category. Add a new row, and within that, a column spanning all 12 spaces by default, which is center aligned. Since this button isn't inside of an actual form, we don't use the actual button element. We'll style a standard anchor link to look like a button and use the href to call our Python view. a.btnlarge.lightblue.darken2.textshadow. The href will be the URL for our new function called add_category. The button text will read add category and have an icon sitting to the right. i.fas.fa plus square.right. Save the file, and if your app isn't currently running, go ahead and start it now. Remember to be logged in as your admin user, since only our admin has access to the Manage Categories page. Also, in production mode, you'll actually want to provide conditional checks on your Python functions to restrict these pages, but redirect users elsewhere if they're not validated. We've kept it simple and condensed for demonstration purposes here, only having the front-end validation. As you can see, we have a button now that allows us to add new categories. It's a single field form, so I'll go ahead and try and add a new category for GitHub. On submit, obviously that's not going to work yet, because we've only built the get method in our function. Let's go back to our app.py file and write the logic that will post our form to MongoDB. If our requested HTTP method is post, then we need to create the dictionary that will be inserted into our database, which is stored in a variable called category. Our form only has one field, category_name, which will grab the same name attribute from our requested form. Then, we'll target the categories collection on MongoDB and use the .insert_1 method. That will take the dictionary above from the category variable. Next, we'll display a flash message to the admin. New category added. Then finally, redirect the admin back to the function above to get all categories. I'll add a blank line for clear separation and remove the indentation whitespace. Save the file and let's quickly recap. If the function is called using the post method, then we'll grab the data from the form and insert it into our database. Otherwise, our default method of get will display the empty form available to the admin. Reload the live preview, and once that's loaded, let's try to add GitHub once again. Excellent. You can see the flash message, and now we have another card below for the newly created category. Also, you can see that it's still sorting the categories alphabetically. We now have half of the CRUD functionality for our categories completed. The admin can create and read or view categories. In the next video, we'll learn how to update existing categories. Let's push these changes to GitHub. Git add -A, git commit -m, add option to add category to DB, git push, and then clear the screen.